You have to really appreciate a show like Dandadan because one of the MCs is literally named Ken, and he's quite literally a Ken doll. There's nothing going on down there since Turbo Granny decided to steal his manhood. But I think this is probably the only anime that has come out where I think you will find a collective agreement that you are happy that the MC lost said manhood because it allows for him to randomly combust into Turbo Granny mode, where he becomes a demon who basically kind of gave me some Kaiju number 8 vibes with the whole jawline and everything. But seriously, I don't think I've personally seen a show. Now, I've seen things and I've seen anime go wild and, brutally killed and things getting ripped off and shattered, sure, but I've never looked at it and said, damn, I'm really happy that happened to that character. Like, it really makes for the show to be, but no, I do here. I never thought I'd say this about a show, but I hope the MC never regains his lost manhood, or at least not until the show's over, because the chaos it brings is too freaking good. I got those full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to any of these episodes over there exclusively. So episode 1 came in like a goddamn wrecking ball. You would have swore Miley Cyrus came in here. I mean, at the end of the day, you had an episode where robot aliens were trying to violate us, and we lost a wiener, man. It doesn't get more wild than that. But I mean, like I said, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. And based on how a lot of source readers are saying, damn, it's crazy how chillish this series used to be. I believe it. It's you don't start that strong and then become sunshine and rainbows. Though, was this episode more tame? 100%. It had its, insanity, but at the end of the day, it didn't feel like it was trying to one-up itself from last week. And if anything, it just lets you to understand the characters' connections and chemistry a bit better. Because despite, Momo and Ken being pretty new to being, I guess, friends at this point, at the end of the day, their chemistry just kind of worked. They butt heads, but it's like they're a mixture of an old married couple and 8-year-olds who pretend like they hate each other but just have the biggest crush on each other. At the end of the day, in episode 1, you had a girl who saw someone being bullied and immediately, without a second guess, sat in front because if you're going to throw shit, well, you're going to have to throw it at me too. You got a vibe of who she was as a person, the same way you got a vibe of how passionate he was about aliens and stuff. And the idea that they constantly talk shit and butt heads, they're basically two best friends who love talking mad shit but will be there for each other when it counts. It's a very natural connection, and it's a very snappy show. No one's going to deny that it's not fast-paced. But despite that snappiness, it doesn't feel like we're rushing to get to the next big moment. For some reason, despite only knowing these characters for 2 episodes, I feel like similar to how the characters feel like they've known each other for a lifetime, I feel like I've known these characters for a lifetime, and I just kind of understand how they're going to respond already. Which is a testament to not only how good the author was at making characters that were memorable, but also feel like they had depth and not just they're a personality quirk. Like Momo as an example, she's just fantastic. Her mannerisms, just the way she, our boy walks through the gate, there's a little seal to help protect, ward off evil spirits. Our boy bursts the flames, and just that whole dynamic and then how she brings him in, you can just get a sense of when she basically says, hey, you probably got nothing going on under there. There's a mixture of poking fun, but there's also this side of caring and compassion and making sure that, he's looked after. Where with a guy like Ken, despite him constantly talking mad shit or even just being a bundle of chaos, at the same time, he just feels like he genuinely wants to be there for her and wants to be friends with her because not only has he always wanted to have a friend, he just feels like she's a genuinely good person who doesn't treat him the way most people have. Great character writing there. You can't say it's surface level, they actually feel like they have depth. But the thing about this show is that, yes, if the production was 50% weaker, would we be talking about it quite as much? Probably not. At the end of the day, the anime community, we do have monkey brains. If it's shiny, if it's flashy, if it's well produced, we gonna talk about it more. But at the same time, what have I been talking about for the most part of this video? It's the writing. You can't ignore how good this show looks. The style, you start the episode off with this almost manga panel directing with animation in each panel. The show just has flair, it has creativity, and it just doesn't look like your average run-of-the-mill anime. If what we've seen over 2 episodes is to be believed for the entirety of 12, This will either be a top 3 or top 5 produced shows of the year, and I wouldn't even be shocked if I said top 3. It is insane how well the show's produced. The music is fantastic, but the VA work's probably the best part on the audio department. But the thing about it is I just love how we go from this weird situation with aliens and ghosts, a girl having psychic powers, a boy turning into Turbo Granny, and then this episode we fight a sumo wrestler. And just the whole idea of it was so brilliant, because once they realized that, like, hey, if we can get its hand to touch the ground, we probably win. And quite literally, it worked, except the one hand didn't touch, so then it did this weird reverse regeneration. That animation alone could have been the Sakuga moment of the episode, and that was like a single part of 20 moments that you could probably pick from. When he bursts into flames, when it just, all these moments are just so freaking well done. And even though this was a more coherent and I think less crazy episode than the first, it still has that absolute wow factor and wild factor that you know it's just gonna introduce the craziest shit known to man. Next episode is Granny versus Granny. Her grandma is gonna probably beat the living shit out of our MC, and I can't wait to see that. But like I said though, it's weird to even want to say this sentence, but I am so happy that one of the two main characters in this show lost his weenie. Because the amount of content we have gotten from it in just 2 episodes is second to none. This show is probably anime of the season. Now, here's the thing, before people start being like, yeah, but what about returning show? What about... Listen, I always give anime of the season to the new show. Because if my favorite show is returning, I'm always going to give the title to my favorite show returning, and I just don't see that as fair. Sequels, carryovers, all that type of stuff, I just like to say anime of the season is a show that just started fresh. And honestly, there's room for this show to crash out. No one's going to deny that. But this was as well produced, as well thought out, and if anything, made me love the characters more than the first episode. If this is a trend, like I think it's gonna be, especially given how healthy seemingly the production is, and hell, there's already leaks that they're working on a season 2, this is probably gonna be my anime of the season. Unless the characters crash out and they become boring, which I fail to see how that's gonna happen given their personalities, we're probably witnessing anime of the season on our hands, but of course, only time will tell. Episode 2, despite not being as, I would say, wacky as the first episode, I actually enjoyed this episode even more than the first, because I really feel like I understand where they want to go with these characters, and they actually feel like characters. Maybe I wouldn't want to be friends with either one of these two, because goddamn, the chaos and the shit they get into, but I just want to watch that from the sidelines. But as an anime, absolutely perfect, and they seemingly are perfect for each other in a weird sort of way. Definitely the weirdest interaction of How I Met Your Mother, but what a story to tell someday. Thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, we have full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got ICL Caldera, Jacob McCarthy, Divine Tank 00, True Demon Lord, Chris, Carla De La Cruz, and we also have a Galvatron. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.